We have our senior analyst, Peter sir over here. My colleague, Sunika Upadhyay.
Good afternoon.
And the system is being handled by Ishwar sir.
Great, thank you.
A very good evening to everyone present, all the participants, and our extremely honored speaker for today. We are hosting this lecture under the series Ignite. Our today's lecture will focus on cybersecurity, which is titled Digital Self-Defense 101. This will aim for cybersecurity awareness and promote safe digital practices among women and youth of our country. For our participants, we have a versatile group. We have a few women who representatives from grassroots level. We have participants from students, lecturers, and so on. We are very pleased to have you all today. Not taking much of the time, I would just briefly introduce her. Our today's speaker, Sri Harsh Poddar, is an IAS officer of 2013 batch of Maharashtra Cadet. Currently posted as SP Nagpur district and CEO of Marvel. He has completed his masters in public administration from Howard University, where he specialized in national security and artificial intelligence. Sir has served as SP in some of the most critical and community-sensitive districts of Maharashtra, such as Beed and Malegaon. His work as SP Beed during COVID pandemic was published by Ministry of Home Affairs as National Case Study. Sir has bagged many awards to his name. So over to you now, our session on digital literacy. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and a very good afternoon to all the listeners. Thank you for coming in on a monsoon evening. I know how difficult it is to pay attention to boring issues on during weather such as this. But I'm hoping to have today's talk in an environment where we are mutually able to understand how women particularly can be more safe in the online ecosystem. And the idea of today's talk is not to give you a high-level overview of the kind of threats that face you in the cyber world, but more to be able to acquaint you with certain pragmatic and practical tips that you could adopt in order to keep yourself and your loved ones safe as you engage with the online world. Let me just begin by thanking the National Commission for Women. It's a great honor and privilege to be invited to conduct this talk. As I understand, most of the audience are from the southern part of the country. So I understand that English is probably the preferred medium. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
English is preferable, right? Okay, wonderful, right. Would you be projecting the presentation or should we do it from our side?
However you are comfortable, so we can also manage.
If you can project it from your side, that's fine, and then I can just continue saying, asking for the slides to be changed.
Sure. So I think someone from your site was here for the demo.
Okay, let me.
If he can upload and then we.
Sure, we are doing that. We're doing that from our side. Slide. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes.
Wonderful, right. So as I mentioned, today's talk is about enhancing cybersecurity, particularly for women. Okay. Let's first understand why this is important and why a forum as illustrious as the National Commission for Women has decided to engage on educating women who are working across the country and doing commendable work at the grassroots level, such as yourself, on this. You see, in today's life, in the 21st century, it is almost impossible for you to be able to evade digital platforms. They are a mechanism for all sorts of things, be that communication, be that finance, be that your career, be that communication or your social life. And what happens is that, unfortunately, because of predatory presences in the online world, women in many senses are disproportionately affected by online abuse as well as cybercrime. Let's take a moment and step back to understand why that is the case. There are a range of socio-economic reasons because of why that happens and why women are particularly afflicted by cybercrime and cyber abuse. One of the reasons is because, thanks to the disproportionate sharing of power between men and women in society, what often tends to happen is that cyber criminals or cyber predators tend to think that women do not have retaliatory processes at their disposal. That is, a woman would not be able to access the institutions that provide justice or law enforcement in the same way that a man would be able to. That sense of vulnerability is something that cyber criminals feed upon. The second and a much more complex mechanism, the reason why women tend to be disproportionately affected, is because cyber criminals often tend to feel that they can prey on the idea that a woman harbors, that if she is the survivor of a crime, then somehow she is to blame for it. I would like to begin this talk by underscoring to all of you that in the unfortunate circumstance that you ever find yourself impacted by a cybercrime, please begin with the notion that you are not to blame. It is not your fault. The shame, the dishonor, or any kind of public embarrassment that exists is purely on the cyber criminal. It is not yours. So whenever you are facing any kind of crime, be that cyber crime, or for that matter as a law enforcement officer, I would encourage you to feel, or any crime that is a crime against women, not necessarily just cyber crime, please do not blame yourself for it. Because that blame that you apportion to yourself is often the very first hurdle that you will encounter in being able to solve the situation for yourself. So this is the first idea, that you should not blame yourself. It is not your fault. You are the survivor and you are entitled to justice from law enforcement agencies as well as from the legal architecture that exists to protect you. The second thing that I would like to underscore before we move on to this talk is that in today's world, the 21st century woman of India is not someone who should be dependent in the event that a cybercrime has taken place with her on another person, particularly on a man, to help her. So if a cybercrime has taken place with you, today we will discuss mechanisms in which you should not just be able to help yourself, but you should also emerge as a woman leader to be able to help other women to access justice and to be able to access law enforcement agencies. Okay. So these are the two ideas that I would like to begin with. The objective of today's talk is to equip you with the necessary arsenal, with the necessary skills in order to be able to access justice yourself if you are facing a situation that consists of a cyber attack. Now, there are many types of cyber attacks that one could be a victim to, and we should begin by understanding what these types are and how to be able to recognize them so that you know that an interaction that is taking place could lead to a potential cybercrime. Cyber stalking is one of them. In the online world, unlike the physical world, it's very easy to remain anonymous and actually continuously gather more and more information about a certain person. Very often this tends to be women. The second tends to be image-based abuse, where abuse that concerns the person's reputation in some way or the other. And then there is online harassment, whereby the criminal conceals his or her identity and then continuously keeps doing acts that in some way causes trauma or stress to the individual or to the survivor. There are many different gender specific attacks, which are, when I say gender specific attacks, I mean your identity as a woman is at the very center of these attacks. Doxing is one of them. So doxing consists of publishing private information relating to a woman. Impersonation is another one. Sextortion, as you've probably heard, is a third one. We'll be learning more about these next. Now, let's understand a little bit about what the common cyber threats are in greater detail. The first among these is phishing. Phishing, what this basically means is, it typically tends to be a financial cybercrime. In these instances, what happens is that there is a criminal who is concealing their identity in the online world. And what they are trying to do is that they are trying to bring you to reveal information that so far only you are privy to in order to commit a financial fraud on you. So what could this be? Very often this tends to be mechanisms of e-commerce. So your credit card details, your Aadhaar based details, anything that will cause flow of money from you to another entity, whereby that other entity is dishonestly benefited. So phishing is a mechanism which cyber criminals use to get you to reveal things like OTPs, passwords, credit card details, such that some sort of financial benefit can accrue to them. Let's move on to what the second type of common cyber threat, ransomware. In today's world, a lot of confidential or sensitive information in many senses is stored on the internet, and it's done by many people. So for example, family photos that maybe you are storing on Google Drive, sensitive emails perhaps that you might have, perhaps interactions or conversations that you have had with your loved ones. What ransomware does is that it withholds this information or access to this data that you own online, prevents you from accessing it until you pay something for it. So for example, if you have uploaded several years of your family photos onto Google Drive or onto some sort of cloud, and many of these photos tend to be personal in nature, have details of your family, etc., the manner in which a ransomware attack would take place is to deny access to this kind of data that you have uploaded online until you make a certain payment. So what it would do is that you will not be able to access your family photos, which have been clicked over several years, some of which may be personal, until you pay me this much money. And if you don't pay me this much money, then I will either make it public or I will use it for other nefarious purposes. So that's how ransomware works. Then we move to malware. Malware is a type of hidden software. What it does is, the way it works is by infecting your devices. All of us use several devices that are connected to the internet. So this could be your phone, this could be obviously your laptop or your tablet, or in many instances your smart television or your smart refrigerator, etc. The way malware works is that it is a concealed software file that somehow gets downloaded onto your device, and then after that spies on you. So for example, the way a typical way that malware functions is that you could land up downloading a concealed file without even knowing about it onto your phone. And what this software does is that it makes your phone, for example, switch on the camera and record you without you knowing it. So that is an example of malware. Then we come to identity theft. Identity theft means a cyber criminal who is posing on the internet that he or she is functioning as you, is able to even establish their identity because they are able to demonstrate certain data that only the person would possess. For example, PAN or Aadhaar details or certain software, or in today's world, even deepfake, which is your face in many instances. So what they would be able to do is that they would be able to contact another entity, maybe a bank, maybe a service provider, and say that I am actually XYZ. And I am XYZ because I'm able to prove through these kind of details like PAN or Aadhaar that, or for example, an OTP, that I am actually XYZ. So these are some of the common cyber threats. Next. How do we counter these? In order to counter these, we have a concept which is known as cyber hygiene. What cyber hygiene means, just the way you protect yourself and your family from illness or from infection or from disease. Similarly, while we operate around the cyber world, as we operate around the physical world, when you operate around the physical world, obviously everyone takes certain measures to keep themselves safe from disease. For example, you use sanitizers. When you come back home, you make sure you wash your hands. You wear masks in crowded situations. Similarly, when you are operating in the cyber world, there are certain practices that are necessary in order to keep you sanitized, in order to keep you safe from cybercrime. I've enlisted some of them that are typical, and we'll go over some of them. The usage of strong, unique passwords for different accounts. These could be your email account, it could be your social media account, it could be your banking accounts. A lot of times what happens is that we tend to use passwords that we would remember easily. Unfortunately, what we would remember easily often tends to be a word or a phrase that the world knows we would remember frequently. So, for example, it could be your child's name, or your spouse's name, or it could be your date of birth. These are phrases or words that the world can typically guess you would use because you would remember them quite easily. So when you are making a password, we would encourage you to use a strong and a unique password that is difficult for people around you, even people close around you, to be able to guess. The second thing that is important is, all of you know when you're using devices, either an Android phone or an Apple phone or a laptop or a tablet, that you tend to get updates or questions from the devices asking to update the software. Please ensure that you always update the operating software as the OS of the device, as well as any other apps and software that you use on that tablet. The reason this is important is because newer updates of the software on the basis of which your devices are working are able to counter the latest forms of cyber threats that could infect your device. So if you update your software regularly, it means that it is well equipped to be able to counter any attacks that your device might face. The third thing is to scan your device using an antivirus. An antivirus basically is a software that checks if there is any kind of secret file or software within your device that in any way places you at threat. Fourth, please make sure you back up your files and data. Important data that you might possess, particularly documents that you are storing online, or documents that you are storing in digital format, or photographs that are of great value to you. Please make sure that you have a backup, because many times the way cybercrime takes place is that it completely eliminates or erases your data. So if you have a backup, then you know that you needn't worry because you are able to access the same data elsewhere. And the last is avoiding shared or public devices. So for any private or sensitive work like financial work or banking work that you might be doing, please avoid shared or public devices. What do I mean by shared or public devices? Computers that are available at cyber cafes, for example. Or, for example, devices like phones or computers or laptops that are accessed by multiple people who are there at your workplace. Or maybe you're working at a school, or maybe you're working at a government office. please ensure that you do not do any private work or sensitive work on these devices, because devices have a way of storing passwords as well. And once you have entered it there, it's possible that someone who uses the same device is able to access sensitive data that you might have used. Next. Let's now come to social media habits. Social media is important in many senses, and in today's world, it is for all practical purposes a way of life. It is a means of connecting. It is a means of projecting your work. It is also a means of allowing for social interaction in a world where many people are too busy to actually physically meet up. And very often, the reason social media is important because it is an avenue for equality among women. How much you are able to project your work online often is a mechanism for you to be able to get more opportunities. It is a mechanism for you to be able to network with people who are working in your sector and create better and more remunerative opportunities for yourself. But having said that, social media also comes with a whole set of risks. Be that Facebook, be that Instagram, be that WhatsApp, all of it comes with a whole series of risks. Now, one of the important things, let's see what we can do in order to conserve ourselves or protect ourselves on social media. It's very popular these days to set your profile on public viewing. This is a very dangerous thing to do unless you are a public figure whose career or profession sort of depends upon being able to reach out and access people that you don't know. I would encourage to keep your profile, your social media handle set to private. That is, only those people should be able to access it who you know are verified. Apart from that, the general milieu of people who are available on social media should not be able to access your account. Second is, please make sure that you go to your settings and disable location tagging, which means that when you make a post, it should not get posted as to where you are posting it from. So for example, if let's say a person lives in Jubilee Hills in Hyderabad and you're making a post, please don't make a post that says that this person lives on road number XABC in Jubilee Hills in Hyderabad. And you're making this post public. What this means is that it is telling potential cyber criminals as to where you are physically located, which means that you are yourself dismembering the barrier that exists between the social media world and the physical media world, and allowing any person who is able to see you on social media to make a physical intervention in your life. Then you should avoid sharing children's photos. If you are in a sensitive job, or if you are in a job, many of you I know are engaged in some form of public work or the other, it can be very sensitive to share your children's photos on social media. And that in many senses can endanger your child as well. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, please use strong passwords and 2FA. What 2FA means is two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is a modern way of ensuring that even if your password gets compromised, there is still another mechanism, another layer of protection of your social media profiles. What this means in real practice is that even if, let's say your password is 123456, even if a cyber criminal knows this password 123456 and they are accessing it, what the social media platform will do is they will access and check that normally this person accesses this platform or social media platform from Hyderabad, but suddenly I'm getting a request coming from let's say Mumbai. So then what it will do is that instead of allowing the attacker direct access to your social media profile, it will send an OTP to your number, to the number that you have registered. Only once that OTP is filled that it will permit access to your social media profile. So this is known as two-factor authentication, because one factor is your password and the second factor is your OTP. So please make sure two-factor authentication is activated with your social media profiles. Next. How do we identify phishing and scams? Now, let me first begin that one of the ways that women in particular are most often rendered vulnerable on the internet tends to be through interaction. Before I get into phishing and scams, I would like to request each one of you, particularly women, receive a lot of unwarranted messages in your direct messenger. So that could be on Facebook, it could be on Instagram, it could be on WhatsApp. Please do not engage with people who are messaging you out of the blue. Many times we tend to feel that individuals who are getting in touch, we are somehow obligated to actually respond to them. If someone is sending you a message like, hello, my name is blah, 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 or I would like to get in touch, or please send me your phone number, unless you know that person, and unless you are genuinely acquainted with that person and have reason to believe that that account genuinely belongs to that person, do not entertain such messages. Do not entertain such conversations. And when I say do not entertain such conversations, I mean do not even respond to it. Don't send back questions asking who are you, tell me more about yourself, then getting into a conversation, because they are invariably lying. So don't get into these conversations. Many times, once you don't respond, the other person or the cyber criminal tends to start sending harassing messages. That is, start sending threats that if you don't respond to me, I will do something drastic. In some cases, it could be things like I will commit suicide, or I will follow you, or I know where you are, and then you feel threatened to start responding to it. There is only one response to this kind of situation. Take screenshots and immediately block that account and then report it. I will show you how that is to be reported as well. But please don't engage into a conversation with these individuals. That is unsafe and it renders you even more vulnerable. Now let's come to phishing and scams. How to look out for signs that this is a phishing scam. Typically, a phishing scam or a link that is sent to you in order to try and extract information from you will have several spelling mistakes. It will tend to look very unprofessional. There will always be suspicious messages on it. Maybe the link will not go to the official website. So what often happens is that, you know, when you see a website's URL, it starts with HTTP, okay? A secure website always begins with HTTPS. So if you're looking at link and the link begins with HTTPS, that means it is secure. But if it is just HTTP in the URL, that is the website address, then it is typically an insecure address. So that is one of the ways to identify a phishing scam. Next. How to protect your devices. A lot of times, again, we use passwords, again, very commonly used or easily guessable passwords for our devices. I would encourage all of you to use fingerprints, biometric passwords, or a face lock for your devices, particularly for women. Then after that, you should download apps only from secure app stores. You download it from either Google Play or from App Store. The reason I'm saying don't download apps from a link that someone has sent to you on WhatsApp. If you have an Android, then you will have a Google Play. If you're using an Apple phone, then you will have an App Store. So please use apps only from these. The reason for that is because Google Play and App Store have already done a hygiene check for the apps that they have on their platform, as opposed to an app that is coming to you from an insecure source. Then after that, please ensure that you disable Bluetooth and Wi-Fi when you are not in a safe environment. When you are in a new office, when you are at someone's house that you are not particularly well acquainted with, don't keep your phone or your tablets Bluetooth or Wi-Fi on. Make sure that it is off, because that is another easy way for malware to be brought onto your phone. And on your phone, all phones these days, including those that are Android as well as iOS phones, they have a Find My Phone feature. Because phones are sensitive devices that carry a lot of our data that tends to be personal or private in nature, please ensure that you have a Find My Phone feature activated on your device. Next. Online harassment and cyber stalking. I already spoke about how people try and get in touch with women. Very often they try and make you feel guilty one way or the other, or threatened one way or the other, trying to ensure that you respond to them. You should be aware that India's legal architecture, particularly with the new criminal laws that have been brought about, and even the kind of legislative reforms that exist for cybercrime, every state organization's job is to protect you in every way possible. So please, please never believe a cyber criminal who is trying to tell you that by approaching a law enforcement authority, you will land up in trouble yourself. That is a very common strategy that cyber criminals use, where they try and contact you and they tell you that if you try and report this to either the police station or to a cybercrime portal, in some way or the other, you will land up in trouble. And unfortunately, many times within society, we try and propagate this thought. Law enforcement is a service that is available for you. It is not there to trouble you further. It is there to protect you. So don't believe cyber criminals when they come forth and tell you that if you try and approach the police, you will somehow land up in trouble yourself. We will try and assess the merits of every single case, and the law itself is made in such a way that women of all people are always protected one way or the other. And the law is conditioned in a way whereby a woman who reports a crime that has taken place with her is not in any way made to feel responsible for it. Next. Now we come to a very important topic, which is how to report cyber crimes in India. Please take a note. If you're looking at this webinar on your phones, take a screenshot. Otherwise, if you're looking at it on a computer, take a photograph. The central portal for reporting cyber crimes in India is cybercrime.gov.in. You also have a helpline for immediate financial frauds. If some sort of economic offense has taken place, you can dial 1930. That will enable the money to get frozen if you are landed up paying money. If it's something that is women or child related, you don't even have to give your full name and details on these portals, and you can still upload it. What I would like to encourage you to do from your side is that when reporting, do not just delete any kind of interaction that has taken place because of the cybercrime. Make sure that you maintain screenshots of it. Make sure you don't delete those emails. If there are bank statements, make sure that you have those in your possession. Why am I asking you to keep it? Many times we feel that if we have been victims of crime somehow, we should try and delete all evidence related to it because it will protect us in some way. In reality, what that is doing is that it is erasing the evidence that could have helped law enforcement agencies and the police actually reach to the criminal and bring your money back and actually catch the criminal. So don't delete evidence that exists that could actually help the police and law enforcement agencies get to the criminal. Next. Some useful cybersecurity tools that you should be able to use. Password managers. There are several password managers that you can download from Google Play Store as well as the App Store that will enable you to generate strong passwords. There are browsers such as Firefox, for example, that keep you safe. VPNs are also used. This is slightly advanced, so not everyone should try their hands with VPNs, but for those of you who are adept at it, VPNs can be used for private work. It would be able to regulate your internet traffic. Use secure messaging platforms that are end-to-end encrypted. Many of you would have a question as to what is end-to-end encrypted. The meaning of when you are talking on WhatsApp often gives you an update saying that this is an end-to-end encrypted app. What end-to-end encrypted means is that when you are sending a message from your side to a recipient, the only two people in the world who are able to see that message is the person who has sent it, that is you, and the recipient. Even the service that could be, say, for example, WhatsApp or Gmail, even they are not able to see it. Why? Because what happens is when you are sending the message, what what the platform does is that it encrypts it, that is, it converts it into a code, and then it conveys a key to that code to the recipient. So this encrypted little ball that is coded, that your message that's coded and illegible to anybody else, passes through a series of servers and finally reaches the recipient. That recipient has a key to open it. So then he is able to open it and read the message. In the middle, the platform that used to convey it is not able to access that message. The reason I wanted to explain this to you is that please make sure when you are using communication apps, you are using end-to-end encrypted apps. WhatsApp is a good example. Signal is a good example. These are apps that use end-to-end technology. SMS is not an end-to-end encrypted technology. Then you should ensure that your devices all have antivirus softwares. Kaspersky is a good example. Bitdefender is a good example. All of these would be accessible to you on several platforms like Play Store or the App Store. So you should make sure that your device has an antivirus. Next. Awareness is very important. I know that many of the women who are accessing this webinar, by the very fact that you are able to access a webinar, means that you understand the internet to a certain level. But I would encourage you to please speak about what we have discussed today to other women that you know, because that is how empowerment takes place. You need to serve as a leader within your own community to spread awareness about how cybercrimes operate in the internet, on the internet, and how you're able to protect other women from it who may not be as cyber savvy as you. Next. Cybersecurity at work is very, very important. Unofficial software on your work machine. You should avoid opening unknown attachments, even if they appear work related, unless you know it is from a known source. One thing, this is very important. A lot of cyber harassment tends to take place among colleagues at work. So when you are stepping away from your workstation or whichever computer device that you work at work, please make sure that you lock your workstation. When you are going away for lunch, for example, or stepping out to the washroom, make sure that your device is locked. Your phone should not be left unlocked. Your computer should not be left unlocked. And if there's a phishing attempt that happens, a cyber attack, make sure you report it to the concerned IT team. And if there isn't an IT team, report it to law enforcement. Next. I want to go through some case studies that will help to illustrate what we are talking about and how cybercrimes play out in the real world. Next. This is a good example. This is with regard to a chief financial officer who lost 6.8 crores because of an email spoofing. Just look at the second line of the slide. The chief financial officer received an email from the email domain being, instead of being cfo@company.in, it was subtly spoofed as cfo@company.in. The accountant did not realize, who was going to disburse the amount, that the email had come in from a different email address than the one that he or she was accustomed to. So he did not see that normally the emails used to come from cfo@company.in. They did not see that it was a spoofed email address, which was cfo@company.in, and went ahead and transferred about 6.8 crores. So when you are making a financial transaction or some sort of sensitive transaction on the basis of an email, please check that the sender is the correct one and it is not a spoofed email ID. Next. This is a case study from Malaysia. In Malaysia, a social media influencer, she was continuously posting content about herself, videos as well as photographs that were revealing her exact location. She was abducted then for ransom. A kidnapping took place. Luckily, she was then rescued. But this is the kind of threat that can take place if you are constantly revealing your location on social media. Next. WhatsApp OTP scam case. What was happening on this is that OTPs were being sent through WhatsApp, and then someone would make a call to you and say that they are calling from WhatsApp support or WhatsApp tech services, and ask you to share that OTP. OTPs should never ever be shared with an unknown individual, preferably even with a known individual, unless you trust the person absolutely implicitly. I would say please never share the OTP with anybody that you mistrust with your finances or with your life in many instances. Many times, relatives, people that you know, friends, and in some cases, even children of old couples have taken OTPs from even their parents and then fraudulently taken large sums of money from them, leaving them destitute. So please don't become a victim of cybercrime. It could be someone that you love very much. It could be someone that you respect very much, but you can always tell them that I won't share my OTP, but you can tell me what you need it for, and I will go and fill it up myself. As a woman, you should have the confidence to say that, and they would respect your space. Next. Deepfake extortion. In this case, what happened is that using artificial intelligence, they created pictures and videos of a person, of a woman, in fact, using her face. So you had a deep fake, which was a video or a photograph, where it seemed like a person who was not actually in that photo. It seemed that that was the first person who was doing it. And then after that, they blackmailed her for rupees 50,000. The cyber criminals were able to do this because the survivor had shared high quality images of herself or close up images on social media. There often tends to be, many times people who use social media want a lot of praise for their physical appearance. And in the process are posting close-ups, intense close-ups of their face. What you're doing thereby is that you're allowing a cyber criminal to use your face and then superimpose it on a deep fake and then use it for a scam or some kind of fraudulent blackmailing as well. Next. This is with regard to an Indian tech company. Many of you may be proprietors or may be heading organizations where cybersecurity is important or where sensitive data is held. When a person is leaving your organization, either because they have completed their time there or because they have had some sort of bitter breakup with the organization, please make sure that any credentials that they have to be able to access your data, usernames, passwords, all of these are deactivated. In case of an Indian tech company, a person who was a laid off employee, they use their former login to be able to access sensitive data and then after that sell it, which was a big fraud on the company that they were formerly working with. Next. Even someone as empowered as Hillary Clinton, for example, had become a victim of a phishing campaign. When she was contesting the American elections, what had happened was that her team was sent a phishing email that permitted access to many aspects of the Clinton campaign, which in this case was determined to be an access from an external country. Next. Angela Merkel's government, all of you probably know Angela Merkel. She was the former chancellor of Germany. In her case, her team was targeted similarly by a Russian group, whereby they introduced spyware or malware onto German computers that were being used by the Chancellor's office and which remained for several weeks on these computers, spying and capturing critical information and conveying them to this Russian group that was prosecuting this attack. Next. Aditi Govitrikar, who was a well-known Bollywood actor, there was an instance of identity theft whereby her PAN and Aadhaar was used to open a fake bank account and was even used to be able to circumvent the bank's KYC norms, the know your customer norms, because the cyber criminal already had her PAN as well as Aadhaar and was able to persuade the financial institution, in this case a bank, that it was actually Aditi Govitrikar that they were dealing with. So this identity theft is another source. But then how were they able to do it? They were able to do it because the survivor had actually shared her bank account details as well as her Aadhaar, as well as her ID details with someone who had decided to compromise it or sell it. Next. In conclusion, final takeaways and what the call to action is. Many of you who are on this webinar would have a feeling that being safe in the internet ecosystem or in the cyber world needs you to be some sort of tech expert, that you should have done a course on cybersecurity, that you should be someone who is able to talk in high-flown jargon on cybersecurity. That is not the case. Cybersecurity is for everyone. You don't need to be a tech expert. You just need to practice basic awareness. Just the way you as a mother or as a daughter or as a sister or as a wife or as a woman yourself are able to protect your family from disease or from illness in the physical world, you should similarly be able to protect yourself, your family, and other women from harm on cyberspace without being a great cyber expert yourself or without being a computer engineer yourself. If you just practice basic cyber techniques of being hygienic on the internet, you'll be able to protect not just yourself, but several other people who are associated with you. Gut instinct. This is something that all of us possess. Many times, when you are getting involved in some sort of cyber interaction and they are trying to hurry you up one way or the other, you will get a gut instinct that I want to take some time and actually reflect on whether I want to do this. I don't want to do this so fast. I don't want to pay a few lakhs of rupees immediately. In many financial frauds, they will say that we are offering you this particular offer only for the next 3 hours. So if you pay 2 lakh rupees within the next 3 hours, we will immediately provide you with these benefits. These kind of things should trigger a response within you whereby you feel that there is something wrong with this. Why is this system or this website trying to pressurize me into making a payment or to reveal information about myself so rapidly without giving me a time to process it? So having that sense of instinct of knowing that this does not feel safe should be able to protect you in many situations. Importantly, please teach other women and family members. You will have women who help you at home. You will have women who are members of your team. You will have women who are family members. Please talk about these mechanisms. So much of the time within the family space, we speak about things that have absolutely no value or do not make the other person's life better. I would encourage all of you to speak about things like cybersecurity. When you are having a friendly conversation with your friends who are women, when you're having a friendly conversation with your relatives, with your daughters, with your sisters, with your mothers, cybersecurity is not meant only for working women. It is meant for all women who some way or the other access the internet, which today almost everyone does. So please talk about this. Who knows? Maybe a conversation that you have had might be able to protect several women, maybe able to protect several children from the depredations of cybercrime. And lastly, please remember, digital safety is not a luxury. It is a right. And digital safety includes the police. Policemen such as myself are sworn to protect you. So please come to us when you face a situation where you feel unsafe, where you feel you are unthreatened, where you feel you are threatened. It doesn't matter even if you have done something that has made you vulnerable. We will protect you. We are not there to harass you. We are there to trace out the cyber criminals and ensure that another individual is not defrauded in the same way that you are. With that, I'll end my presentation and my talk. I'm happy to take any questions. Once again, I want to thank the National Commission for Women for this talk. It's a great honor. Vapas.
Thank you so much, sir. We really had this informative session. You have explained this complex issue in such an easy manner. I request all the attendees, if you have any question during this session or anything linked to this session also, you can please type your comments in the chat box. Meanwhile, sir, we already have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Someone has posted. Who is the stalker?
Just one second. Screen sharing stop. Yes.
Who is the stalker? What actions can be considered as stalking?
Great. Thank you so much. That's a very insightful question. A stalker is someone the first thing that defines them is that they tend to conceal themselves. You know, I think many people on this call would have seen Dar. It's a famous Bollywood movie. I think it has southern versions also. But for those of you who haven't seen it, it is a person who has an unhealthy interest in a particular target. They conceal themselves. They ensure that their own identity doesn't come out, and they are consistently trying to gather information about the target. What she does, who she speaks to, who her family members are, which are the places that she visits. They are constantly trying to gather this information, which is an invasion of your privacy. So that is who a stalker is. And ma'am, your second question was, can you repeat that?
What action can be considered as stalking?
Right. And stalking does not involve simply engaging with another person on social media for harmless purposes. So, for example, if you are friends with someone on social media and they have maybe put up a picture and you like it, or you heart it, or you place a nice comment or congratulate them, that is not stalking. But on the other hand, when you are consistently going and checking their photographs, which maybe are private one way or the other, you are trying to figure out from their profile where they work. You are trying to get information about where their family members work. You are trying to get information about where they stay, for example. Without that person having shared that information on social media, that would be known as stalking. Or for example, you create a fake profile of a person who the target is known to, and then befriend that person and then try and get information. That constitutes stalking, and I would like to tell you that it is a crime by law. It is punishable, and FIR could be registered against you. So many times we've seen particularly young people doing these things and thinking it's a harmless joke, whereby they create a fake profile, try and befriend somebody, and then try and interact with them or get more information about it. This is a crime. For all people who are on this call, for those of you especially who have young teenagers in your house, please make them aware that this is a crime.
The next question is, can you please elaborate on deepfake?
Yes, absolutely. Deepfake is actually a result of artificial intelligence, something that all of you know about. Artificial intelligence, put very simply, is a computer program that is able to behave like a real biological human being. So what a deepfake is a type of artificial intelligence algorithm or an artificial intelligence software. What it does is that it assumes the physical features of an individual and then is able to replicate it in some sort of visual or audio format. So for example, a good example of deepfake would be if an algorithm is able to listen to my voice and then is able to say things in my voice using that same pitch, the same mode, the same similar words that my vocabulary would be, the same accent, and then is able to generate an audio clip that sounds exactly like me. Then using that makes a call to maybe some of my subordinates or to some of my colleagues and issues commands or orders as SP Nagpur. The target would not doubt it because they would think that it is actually the SP who has called. A more advanced version could be a visual deepfake, whereby capturing videos of me, which maybe I have let out on social media, an algorithm is able to make a video that looks exactly like the SP of Nagpur giving a communication and then posts it somewhere or sends it over to someone, whereby people start believing that it is actually the police chief of the district who is issuing that message. So that is an example of how a deepfake works. And artificial intelligence today has reached that level of advancement where it is able to do that. But it is able to do it only because it has access to base videos or photos or voice samples of yours on the basis of which it can create these deepfakes.
Sir, we have one more question from Abhinav Jain. He's asking that how can he help in empowering other women to spread the knowledge which he has gained through this session, and he is gaining some from other sessions also. How he can empower other women?
Thank you, Abhinav, and that's a wonderful question. And I look forward to you being an agent of change for more and more, not just women, but also for men. I would say that raising awareness often works in two ways. There's the formal mechanism and the informal mechanism. The formal mechanism is endeavors such as this, like what the National Commission for Women is doing, whereby you organize a webinar or a meeting or some sort of public gathering of individuals who are interested in the issue, and then you talk about it in a systematic way, maybe with a presentation, through a talk, or various other ways in which you can disseminate that information. But normally this is able to happen only where you are in a position of authority, where you are able to convene so many people. I've often felt that the more impactful mechanism is the informal way of awareness, whereby in small groups, and we all have a sense of community. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your college friends, it could be your workplace friends. Instead of talking about things that are not helpful, we tend to share office gossip, or we tend to talk about a whole lot of other things that are not helpful to the other individual. Talk about things like cybersecurity, or what you have learned today, for example, which I hope you have learned, and talk about it, which could help increase their knowledge. More importantly, when you're doing it, don't do it in an authoritative way. No one likes being talked down to. Instead, place the topic out and invite participation from their side also. So if there are 4 friends who are sitting down for lunch, it shouldn't be a case, Abhinav, where you take over the entire lunch and talk for half an hour straight, talking about what you learned at the webinar. Instead, it should be a case where you speak about for 5 minutes what you learned and invite opinions from other people. Awareness spreads best when you get people to participate. So the more you get them to understand, the more you get them to contribute with their opinions or their experiences, the more awareness you're able to spread.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, we have one more question from Miss Shelja Grover. She is asking that how can we protect us from AI technology?
Shelja, thank you so much. That's a great question. Let me first begin by saying that you don't need to think of artificial intelligence as an enemy. In fact, like many revolutionary technologies before it, like for example, mobile phones, the internet, planes, etc., this too is a transformational technology that is going to push mankind ahead. But like all technologies before it that have transformed the human experience, this too has a series of threats. So please don't let your takeaway from this talk be that artificial intelligence is something to be scared about, or that's something that you should not engage with. Technology typically tends to be agnostic. That is, it tends to do what you tell it to do. And it is always the people behind it who are either good or bad. So for every cyber criminal today who is using deep fakes to prosecute crimes, there are thousands of other people who are working in the domain of artificial intelligence that is enabling law enforcement and governments as well as civil society to protect you much better. I myself am working on several artificial intelligence softwares that are enabling us to do our work as protectors in the Maharashtra Police much better. Now, to answer your question about how to protect oneself from artificial intelligence, one of the things that you should consider doing is that try to ensure that you are not using AI for silly things. So, for example, if you are consistently sharing more and more information about yourself, personal details, on artificial intelligence bots, which does not in any way benefit you whatsoever, that is something that helps you remain safe from other people or other cyber criminals who would use AI to create deep fakes of you, for example. Share information about yourself on the internet that is only vital, or that is shared only to a close group. That's why I said your social media handles should be a private handle, so that videos or photographs of yourself that you are sharing are not accessible to people who could be cyber criminals and who would use artificial intelligence thereafter to misuse your videos or your photos. So if you follow those tips that I've given you, you'd protect yourself from most of the depredations of AI.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You have mentioned that we should not share the pictures of our children on social media accounts. That is true. But what if someone shares their children's photos and information on social media, and if that is being misused, then what should we do?
This was
Okay. Misuse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was someone trying to speak?
Yeah, I was just making this comment that this is a popular question right now. I also wanted to ask about this.
Right. In this situation where your child or any person that you are particularly interested in, if their social media or their videos have been misused one way or the other, I would encourage you to approach law enforcement agencies as fast as possible. Many times what happens is that we are held back because of our own social inhibitions. There is a sense of feeling that what will the neighbors say, what will the child's teacher at school say, what will other parents say, and because of that, we don't want to make a big fuss out of it. Therefore, we continue to allow this to happen and try to keep it as private as possible. That is not the kind of feeling that would help you operate in the 21st century. It is no matter of shame if unfortunately your child or your photos have been misused on the internet. When you are deciding to keep it private and not going and approaching the police officials for it or reporting it on the cybercrime portal, you are protecting the cybercrime criminal. And what is worse is that you're even encouraging the cyber criminal, because that is the kind of fear that cyber criminals operate on, where they believe that a person who is perhaps coming from a simple middle class background or a lower income background will not have the courage to approach law enforcement authorities because somehow they will feel too ashamed about it. Please try and contact a law enforcement authority. Now you can report it online as well. And misuse of content or relating to minors is something that is taken very seriously under our laws. And we have many mechanisms to trace out the person, take down those posts from social media, and also arrest and prosecute the person who actually created them originally. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, we have a question from Anasuya. She's asking that could you share some tips to create a strong password?
Yes, of course. Many times, thank you, Anashua. That's a great and a very practical question to ask. A range of things. Many times when you create a password, there are several suggestions there itself. One of the things is make the password alphanumeric. What does that mean? Is that your password should be a combination of letters as well as numbers. Second, in your password, use special characters like, hashtag, comma, exclamation mark, etc. These would make it stronger. Then make it very difficult to guess. That is, it should not be a password that is some way very easily guessable. So, for example, let's say you belong to a certain community that worships a certain deity. Don't keep the deity's name. Or, for example, maybe it's your anniversary date, or your child's birth date, or your own birth date. So, don't use these numbers or combinations that somehow are very closely associated with you and are known by several people around you. So that would be the best way to make a password.
Thank you so much, sir.
Another question. We are nowadays seeing many, AI videos on internet. So question is related to that. How can we identify an original and an AI based photo or video?
Thank you so much. Great question again. Let me enlist certain tips as to how you can probably differentiate an artificial intelligence content online. One of the first things is that it would be shared by an unreliable account. You will not have a situation where maybe a Government of India account or a well-known news portal or a well-known social media influencer or a highly respected celebrity is sharing content that is AI generated. It often tends to be some sort of social media handle that is very random, will have a name that is not easily identified, will not have a blue tick, etc. This is the first thing. The second is it tends to be very, very improbable one way or the other. It will be for instance, recently, I remember last year, there was a very popular video that had come about of penguins suddenly being seen flying over Antarctica. Now, everyone who's been to school knows that penguins are flightless birds. So, AI videos often tend to be something that just would not happen in almost or any situation. I have seen AI videos, for example, of a dog riding an alligator in a river. That kind of thing is very improbable. So the likelihood of that being AI generated is very, very high. The third is the quality of the video is often very, very distinct. Artificial intelligence generated videos or photos have a very strange sheen about them. They are very shiny and they don't have the texture that a typically genuine video or a photograph tends to have. So, for example, I am looking at the image of the National Commission for Women on my screen. This looks natural, but if the same thing were generated by AI, it would have a strange fake kind of, it will look almost the same, but it will have a very strange sheen about it, which will seem to indicate that this is generated by AI. Then AI tends to leave certain signs. For example, if you look carefully at it, the people in the photos, there might be a sixth finger on one hand. Maybe the eye will be a different color. The face complexion and the limbs complexion will be different. There will be certain spelling mistakes in the background because artificial intelligence is yet to reach that sophistication whereby it can completely altogether replicate reality. So these would typically help you identify an AI generated video. But I'll just end by saying that the most important takeaway from this talk I would want its listeners to have is that be aware that today a lot of content is AI generated. So when you see something very, very convincing, be aware that it could just as well be AI generated. So before forwarding it to someone else blindly, try and do some background check to see whether it is an account that genuinely shares authorized information.
We are receiving huge number of questions, but we'll just pick the last one because of the time constraint. And last question for this session is, if we are suspicious about someone's activity, should we investigate by ourselves or report to cybercrime? If we investigate by ourselves, would it be considered stalking?
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Again, a very useful question. I would normally discourage you from trying to investigate it yourself, unless there are certain very obvious telltale signs within it. Maybe the cyber stalker or person who's harassing you is using terms which someone that is familiar with you. So unless prima facie, there are certain signs in the stalking or in the interaction that are making it obvious to you as to who that person is. Maybe they are sharing certain information that only one particular person has. In that case, a little bit of background check is advisable. But don't start doing extreme things like creating a fake account yourself, then befriending them and then trying to find out. Or maybe they're asking you to come somewhere or indicating where they live by, and then you go yourself there physically to try and find out. Maybe their account, for example, has photographs of a certain area that you know. Please don't pick up your vehicle or a bus and go to that place and try to verify who that person is. Approach law enforcement first. So it's a very subtle design. So if there is something that's very obvious that tends to lead you to that person, by all means, just go down that line. But apart from that, in 99% cases, please report it to law enforcement. We will know how to keep you safe and yet bring that person to the clutches of justice. Don't start investigating things yourself. Tempting as that might sound because of all the amount of content that we see today on OTT platforms, very often civilians are not equipped and often place themselves and their loved ones in a position of danger by trying to investigate things themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll end this session. If you have any more queries, you can write to us or you can email to us as well. We'll surely answer all your questions. So we have received a lot of appreciation for this session on our chat as well. And we, NCW, would again really thank you very much for your time and efforts and for giving such an informative session and those useful tips that has been shared today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And it's as I mentioned earlier, it's a great honor and a great privilege to be affiliated with something as august as the National Commission for Women. I congratulate you for this endeavor and for the effort that you are making in disseminating vital information on how women need to be safe. To all the women who have attended today's webinar, all our best wishes are with you. Our police officials such as myself are always there to protect you. And I hope to inspire more and more confidence among you to be able to come to us during your hours of need. We are there 24/7 to protect you, your family, and your loved ones. With that, I'll bid you a good day. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.